Welcome back to the studio. I'm going to be painting geraniums. And you can see there's some you can just see here in the corner that I have already finished. But I began by using mixtures. This is cadmium red deep. And then I use, these go back behind that trunk. And then this is a little, actually that first mixture was cadmium red deep plus alizarin crimson to make a really deep red. Now this is cadmium red deep here. And I block in my flowers first. Even though this is a large brush, this is a bright brush, it's got a square end, I can use the corner to make the smaller brush strokes of the flowers. I want to do the flowers first because if I did the green leaves first, my brush, as I came back and painted the flowers, my brush would pick up some of that underlying green and it would muddy my flower color. So I want my flower color to be really bright and intense. So that's why I put my flowers in first. Now I painted over a little bit of this trunk. The trunk is dry, so I can take a brush that's been dipped in thinner and pull off that color. It takes a little bit to do it, but that paint is dry. Because I want those flowers to go behind that trunk. This tree is in the box is in front of that tree. So I want my flowers to go behind him. Didn't think about that when I started just laying that paint up there. And I use toilet tissue to just wipe my brush out. And if I need to, I have some of my paint saved from painting that trunk. I can just come back and paint it back over, since I can't seem to get all of that red off of there. Now I'm going to continue doing my flowers. Now these I'll let go behind that trunk. And then they come in front of this other one. Because again, that tree is further back in the container. And as I move here, the sun is coming in from the left. So these flowers then I'm painting with my pure cadmium red light. Pure cadmium, getting tongue twisted here. This is cadmium red deep. Now I'll start adding some highlights of cadmium red light. Now you can see the difference. So that's lighter, brighter, more intense. And so the sun is hitting these geraniums. And I'll put more detail in this as I go along. I'm just starting to get my flowers blocked in. And that light continues behind this trunk. It'll hit these flowers back here. And then these flowers coming here are now in the shadow of this building, the column in the building. And then these down here will be in the shadow of this trunk. Let these flowers dip down right here. Now I'm going to have flowers in this front that'll be coming up in front of here, so I'm not going to put any flowers dipping down right there. Now my greens are mixtures of phthalo blue plus lemon yellow. And I just start blocking in my green around my reds. Now see how my brush has picked up some of that red and how it's kind of mixed in with the green? That's why I did not want to paint the leaves first, because that same thing would have happened if I'd done the green first and then started painting the red, and it would have really made my flower color dirty. It doesn't really matter if the green picks up a little bit of the red and mutes it, because my red is my predominantly bright color, so that's why I really don't mind if the green picks up some of that. And the majority of flowers I paint, that's the sequence that I paint them in. Flowers first, leaves last. Now, this is a few little brush strokes of phthalo blue plus white. That just gives a little bit of coolness in the depth of the leaves. Again, these leaves are in shadow, so they're going to be darker. I just work around the reds. These leaves are catching sunlight there. Now this column is also dry, so I can come back in and get a little more green in here. Where I've kind of slightly gone over that column a little bit, I can again come back with a clean brush that's been dipped in a little thinner and then wiped out. And then I can just come back and follow the edge of that column. And that gives me a nice, smooth, clean edge. Can't do that if the paint's wet, but since that column is dry, I can do that now. Takes a little working back and forth, but finish out doing my leaves here. And again, these are mostly going to be in shadow. We have some that are a little bit lighter, but I want to make sure that all those little white spots are covered. Don't want any of those little white dots in the depth of that foliage. Leaves up here again, these are going to be brighter because they're really catching the sun. And then again, these under the in back of the conker are lighter. I moved to a little smaller brush to add then the light on the petals of the flowers. And again, this is cadmium red light. And then this is cadmium red light with just a tiny bit of white added into it. This gives me that highlight on my flowers. And again, I can use the corner of this brush to make those highlights. this blossom again is behind the column, and it's really catching that sunlight back there, as is that. This is going to take a while, so what I'm going to do is cut away, and then I'll come back and show you how I finish out the geraniums. So this, adding the highlights on the flowers, takes a little bit, so let me do that and then we'll come back. Okay, I have my geraniums all highlighted, and so now I'm ready to start doing little stems and flower buds. This again is my green mixture of phthalo blue plus lemon yellow, and I make several mixtures of this, and the lightest mixture has a little bit of white added in just to make it even lighter. And the little flower buds sit at the base of the flower, and they're just a very distinctive little clump of buds that you see on geraniums. So I just come back in and add the stems and the flower buds. Several of you have asked, first of all, am I using oil paints? Which, yes, I am. And I use Winsor Newton Winton oil paints. We get the large tubes, the 200 ml tubes, and they're just an excellent paint. Some people say, oh, well, that's a student grade paint, but I have used this my whole painting career. Jack used these paints on $60,000 portraits. They're beautiful. I see nothing wrong with them. They have the same longevity as the more expensive ones. And so I do recommend, people have asked me about using the cadmium colors. And in the Winton oils, they have cadmium reds, cadmium yellows, but they also have what they call hues, which are less expensive. And for the cadmium red deep, I use the hue, but for cadmium orange, I get the pure cadmium orange, because the cadmium orange hue tends to go pink. So don't get that. You can get the other cadmium hue colors, and they seem to be pretty true. But that cadmium orange hue is not a good, I don't like what it does. It just turns too pink for me. And if I can't get the cadmium orange, which sometimes is hard to find, you can mix your own by mixing 2 parts of cadmium yellow medium and 1 part of cadmium red light. And that makes a beautiful cadmium orange. And that's pretty much what I do all the time. I just don't even anymore try to even worry about buying the cadmium orange. I just go ahead and mix my own. And it's 2 parts of the cadmium yellow medium and 1 part of the cadmium red light. So this is really what helps people identify these as geraniums, is these little buds. And I'm bracing my hand on my mahl stick. This is about a 6 foot long pole that we got this at Container Store. I guess we got this probably in 1996, 1997, and it is used to get clothes off of a tall clothes rack in a garment store or clothing store. But the minute Jack saw it, he said, oh my gosh, that would make a wonderful mahl stick, and we have used these ever since. And you can still get them at Container Store. They were $19.95 when we bought them, and they're still $19.95. So you can go to containerstore.com and you can get that. It makes a great mahl stick. And what I do is I just brace my wrist against that, and then that steadies my hand in order to do the details. So this is how I finish out my geraniums, is just put the little stems and buds in there, and that will finish out my geraniums. I really appreciate you watching my YouTube videos. I do hope that you'll subscribe to my channel and visit my blog. The link is in the description below. The address is also on the final frame of this video. And in my blog, I show the complete step-by-step process of this painting, as well as others that I do. I know several people have emailed me and say, oh, I love your video, but I'd love to see how the rest of the painting goes. Go to my blog, and it's all there. So you have a wonderful, wonderful day. Be safe, and just remember, today is a great day to have a great day. And thank you again.